moved Herschel Walker from Texas to Georgia so that he could run for Senate, it's because change was taking too fast in the post-antebellum South. The state had been flipped blue, and there are some principalities that were not prepared for a black man and a Jewish man to go to Senate at the exact same time. So they figured that they would delude us by picking somebody who they thought would in fact represent us better with a football than with a degree in philosophy. They thought we were so slow, that we were so stupid, that we would elect the lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken black man as opposed to somebody who is educated and erudite and focused. Y'all ain't ready for me today. Since Herschel Walker was 16 years old, white men been telling him what to do, telling him what school to go to, where to live, where to eat, where to buy a house, where to run, where to sit down, where to sleep, where to pay for abortions, where to buy a gun. And you think they not gonna tell him how to vote? In 2022, we don't need a walker, we need a runner. We need somebody who gonna run and tell the truth about January 6th. We need somebody who gonna run and push for the cancellation of student loan debts. We need somebody who gonna run and make the former president respond to a subpoena. We don't need a walker, we need somebody who will be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, knowing that your labor is not in vain. Georgia, I need you to know the slave Negroes y'all are used to don't live here no more. We can think for ourselves, function for ourselves, and vote for ourselves.
Hello everyone, it's Queen V Line back to you with another video. This video is an update pertaining to the December 6, 2022 Georgia Senate runoff between incumbent Reverend Raphael Warnock and challenger Herschel Walker. It has been confirmed by multiple outlets that the Georgia Supreme Court is allowing counties to hold early voting this Saturday, November 26, 2022, denying a bid by state Republicans to block early voting. Again, the Georgia Supreme Court is allowing counties to hold early voting this Saturday, which is November 26, 2022, denying a bid by state Republicans who were trying to block early voting. The unanimous ruling on Wednesday by the court upheld last week's decision by a Fulton County judge that blocked the Secretary of State, who is a Republican, that had prohibited counties from voting on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. 18 of Georgia's 159 counties had planned to offer voting on Saturday. It should be noted that Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, the Georgia Democrats and Senate Democrats filed a lawsuit against Georgia's Secretary of State, citing the law misreads and cherry picks provisions that have no application to runoffs. Now you will watch this brief news clip with Joy Reid and Senator Jon Ossoff of Georgia, and I will be back with more commentary.
What they want. And there's nothing in the law as it is currently written to prevent it.
As the Georgia Senate runoff campaign kicks into high gear, Senator Raphael Warnock announced today that he is filing a lawsuit to allow Georgians to vote early on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Because of a law Republicans passed in 2016, it is currently illegal in Georgia to have early voting on any day that immediately follows a state holiday. And Friday, November 25th, is technically a state holiday, celebrating the birthday of none other than Confederate General and literal traitor Robert E. Lee. That one day of voting is even more essential after the Republicans' Jim Crow 2.0 law passed last year, cutting the state's runoff calendar in half. It used to be 9 weeks. Now it's down to 4. Joining me now is Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff of Georgia. And I do want to ask you about that. What is the level of concern among Georgia Democrats that cutting off that final Saturday of voting, it's hard enough to get people to come out for a special election. How concerned are you and fellow Georgia state Democrats that it's going to hurt the turnout of folks who want to reelect Warnock?
Joy, good evening, and thank you for having me. And we are determined to ensure that every eligible voter in Georgia has the opportunity to participate in this process. You just heard from Senator Reverend Warnock there. Hundreds of thousands of Georgians availed themselves of Saturday early voting during the general election. We're encouraging every Georgian to make a plan now to vote in this runoff. Remember that the election law that Georgia Republicans passed last year, in some ways, had the most significant impact on runoff election administration, with a shorter early vote period, for example. We are encouraging all Georgians to make a plan to vote now, and I sincerely hope that the outcome of this court process is that Georgians can take advantage of a chance to vote on Saturdays.
You know, your election and Senator Warnock's election in 2021, it was to me proof that every vote counts and that who represents you matters. You just passed, and I want to congratulate you on a bipartisan bill that you authored to investigate unsolved lynchings and civil rights cold cases. It has now passed the House. It's headed to the president's desk. It's arguable nothing like that would have passed under your predecessors. And so I think about some of the opportunities that are there if there is that 51st vote. And that's things like codifying abortion rights. We know abortion's a big deal. A judge just overturned your state's 6-week abortion ban. Protecting voting rights, police reform, gun reform legislation. None of that has any chance, even maybe in a 50-50 Senate. So is that the case that's being made to Georgia voters, that 51st seat might be the difference between getting those things and not?
Well, look, let me just add, in addition to the civil rights cold case legislation that you just talked about, which passed the House yesterday and is now on its way to the president's desk, without our victories in Georgia in January of 2021, there would be no Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. There would be no bipartisan infrastructure law. We would not have done more to strengthen veterans' health care than any Congress in decades. Nor would we have been able to engage in the kind of vigorous oversight and investigation of human rights abuses, of corruption, and of misconduct in the federal government, for example, that I've led as chair of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. Today, we held a hearing, the result of an 18-month bipartisan investigation that exposed the truth about what's been happening to detainees held by the Department of Homeland Security who were subjected to unnecessary, invasive, and often non-consensual gynecological surgical procedures, serious abuses of constitutional and human rights. So it's not just the legislative capacity, it's also our ability to investigate abuse, corruption, and misconduct. And the kind of oversight that the U.S. Congress should be undertaking. It took 18 months of bipartisan work to get there. And yes, without those victories in Georgia, we would not be in a position to conduct this oversight. And I'm going to continue conducting this oversight so long as I chair this subcommittee.
Do you believe, very quickly, that Herschel Walker would have any interest in participating in these kinds of investigations if he were the other senator from Georgia, rather than Senator Warnock?
I have no idea except to say this. The contrast in quality, in competence, in preparedness between Senator Warnock and his opponent is the most dramatic I have ever seen in electoral politics. Senator Warnock is an asset to this nation. He has won universal respect across the aisle in the Senate. He's gotten a lot done for Georgia, forging bipartisan relationships to do it. We cannot lose him. We will not lose him, and that's why we're encouraging Georgians to make a plan to vote.
Georgia, the choice is clear. You have one candidate whose party is trying to block you from early voting, while another candidate by the name of Reverend Raphael Warnock wants you to have the choice of voting early. Raphael Warnock has answered the call for Georgia time and time again. This is not the time to sit on the sidelines. Please, Georgia, ensure that you know your voting location. Please bring your photo ID. Please bring your own food and water, as it is against the law to give someone water and or food while waiting in line. If you witness or experience voter suppression, please call 866-OUR-VOTE. I will leave their number and links in the description and comments below. I thank you for watching. And remember, elections have consequences. Elections matter. Please be safe out here, and I will see you in the next video.